Two Bills players have gotten great news before training camp starts. And on today's Bills Breakdown episode, we are exploring those two players and the praise one of them got and the award the other one could win. What's going on, Bills Mafia? My name is Moose. Welcome into the show today. And of course, we have to start with the Bills' first-round draft pick in 2025, Mr. Maxwell Hairston, who got severely high praise from the Bills' defensive coordinator, Bobby Babich. Now, I do want to start with what Sports Illustrated's most recent article was talking about on Maxwell Hairston's injury, because he did tweak himself up a little bit during mandatory minicamp, but there is no cause for concern right now. We can all just take a nice little sigh of relief. Hairston did not participate in the final day of Bills minicamp practice after tweaking his hamstring, I love that word, the day prior. But General Manager Brandon Beane said that Hairston will rehab it and be ready to go for camp. So I'm not worried about this, neither should you. But if you are ready for Buffalo Bills football this season, I've got a big ask for you. It's been a long time since we've hit some big numbers on that like button. So do me a favor. It is completely free, and it helps grow the channel. Hit that thumbs up button right now. So Bobby Babich, like I was saying, had some very high praise for Maxwell Hairston. He was recently asked after minicamp about how all the rookies were progressing, and, he kind of was giving generic, we love the work ethic, we love what we see, but he kind of went deeper into Maxwell Hairston, and that's, of course, to be, at least expected considering Hairston's a first-round pick. And here's what Babich had to say about Hairston's skill and his game. There's speed, and then there's playing fast. Those are two different things, according to Babich. And I think what we're starting to see is Max playing faster and utilizing his speed, because his processing is starting to slow down a bit in the event, in the event that he's grasping what we're throwing at him. I think what he means by that is the game is slowing down for Maxwell Hairston, which is great, because that's what you want to see. You want to see the processing from a player who you invested a lot of, it's not draft capital, but you're investing in him. He's your first-round pick. You expect this guy to be going out there week one and performing. And the good news is that there hasn't been a lot of negatives on Hairston outside of the minor tweak. In fact, it's been all positives. And if you remember, Hairston ran a 4.28 at the NFL Combine, fastest of the entire 2025 draft class. Athleticism and speed is not something Bills fans need to be worried about with him. Now, I will say this, he does need to put on a little bit of size. He's very, very slight, very slender. I don't necessarily think that putting on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle would make him go from a 4.28 to like a 4.4. It might slow him down to go to like a 4.31, but that's still like world record breaking fast. So I think everybody just needs to have a little bit of a, okay, we like what we see so far, but you got to put on a little bit more size, because what you saw during his college days was that his size clearly has an impact on his body. The more muscle that you put on as a player, the more beef that you've got on your body, the healthier you're going to stay. There's a reason that when Lamar Jackson came into the NFL, everyone was saying he needs to put on more size. All the slender players usually have more injuries because they're getting hit by the biggest and strongest and fastest dudes in the entire world. So I do think that putting on size is definitely a necessity, but his speed is still his main attribute. So I'm not advocating that he puts on 20 to 30 pounds. His speed is going to allow him to keep the game in front of him and not get beat over the top, which leads me to think that as a coverage defender, someone who has elite zone coverage skills, that's keeping the game in front of you, surveying the field, kind of having all eyes scanning across the field at all times. I don't think he'll ever get beat one-on-one over the top unless that player's name is Tyreek Hill. Outside of that, there's not many other players that are going to be beating Maxwell Hairston one-on-one. Now, he does have some really good company to go along with him. In fact, the top four rookie corners, in my opinion, kind of look like this: Hairston, Amos, Barron, and Will Johnson. Now, Barron plays that kind of hybrid Nichols corner spot, and Trey Amos, while not the fastest, is more of a longer player, a little bit more silky smooth, a little bit stronger than all the guys on this list. And Will Johnson is kind of the most polished and NFL ready. So all of these players have different strengths that they'll bring to the NFL in their game. Hairston being the fastest out of all four of these players. So I'll ask you this question because a recent article just came out naming the NFL's all-rookie team and their projections for 2025. Do you think Hairston can make the all-rookie team? Give me a yes or no in the comment section down below. All right, as we kind of move on here throughout the episode, there was another player that got some very, very high prediction praise. In fact, was listed as a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And I thought it was crazy at first, but then I started to think a little bit, and I'm like, no, when he's on the field, he's unbelievable. And it's Matt Milano. Now, Bills fans know this better than anyone. The best ability is availability. And Milano has not been available. The last couple of seasons, plagued by injuries. And that's kind of putting it lightly. We'll get into that here in just a second. But here's what Heavy on NFL, I would say it's a very trusted NFL source. They have tons of writers that are breaking down all the teams throughout the entirety of the year. And here's what they had to say on Matt Milano. Perhaps the biggest X factor from this group, though, is a player who was with the team last season. That would be star linebacker Matt Milano, who has struggled with injuries over the past 2 seasons. That's putting it mildly. However, when healthy, Milano is one of the best linebackers in the game, and as a result, it's earned him an eye-opening label ahead of the new season. If you ask Jacob Infante of Pro Football Network, another very trusted NFL source, he thinks that Milano is a top Defensive Player of the Year candidate on Buffalo's roster. And if Pro Football Network is coming out saying that, there's got to be at least some element of truth behind it. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody can't be wrong. Obviously, everybody is wrong on a daily basis. But Matt Milano, when healthy, is a Pro Bowl caliber player. We know this. But he's only played in 9 games over the past 2 years. And now he's 30. And that is a kind of a red flag to me. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done. Right? That's not what I'm saying. But Milano's ability to not only drop back in coverage, survey the middle of the field, and help in run support is unmatched on Buffalo's roster. But his injuries have been horrendous. I mean, he had the bicep tear, he had the MCL tear, which kept him out of 12 games, and then the leg tibial plateau fracture alongside that knee MCL tear. So what does this tell you? That a player who is getting up there in age is having injury history. That's not good. You would rather have these, you would never prefer injuries to ever happen. But if they are going to happen, you'd hope that they would happen in a player's early career while their bodies are young, spry, and can heal faster. As you hit 30 in the NFL, it's a different type of age. I know 30 isn't old, but for a player who deals with high contact every single play in and play out, that's an old age for a linebacker. I'm sorry if that pisses anybody off. 30 is old for a linebacker. It's not ancient, but you're definitely no longer a spring chicken. So let's just take a look now at the Defensive Player of the Year award in and of itself. Excuse me, timeout. Lost my train of thought. We're back on it. The last player to do it was Charles Woodson back in 2009 at the age of 32. So the last player to over 30 years old. So in the last 16 years, 15 if you're not counting this year. So in the last 15 seasons, not a single player over 30 years old has won Defensive Player of the Year. And Woodson did it at the age of 32. So he was still, kind of well into his younger 30s when he did it. As you get up there in age, it gets harder and harder and harder to do. So history is not on the side of a 30-year-old for Defensive Player of the Year. And as I I just stated it. No one's questioning Milano's skill when he's healthy. But there are concerns about his health going forward. How is that bicep going to feel, when you're wrapping up and finishing on a tackle? How are those knees handling? How's your back? Shoulders. Everything as you get older becomes about body maintenance and playing the right way, playing smart, choosing your times to be aggressive. And that's what I'm going to look forward to for not Maxwell Hairston, Matt Milano coming up here in 2025. So, can Matt Milano win Defensive Player of the Year? Simple yes or no question. Let me know in the comment section down below. I think it's possible. I don't think it's likely. And I'm just going to let that sit and marinate with you guys for right now. That is going to do it for us on today's episode. Remember to like the video if you haven't, subscribe to the channel, help grow this channel to the very best of its ability, and as always, be cool.